Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pearls of Practice, where we explore how innovation takes shape in the world. I'm here today with Jen Lung. Jen is a product manager with deep design experience and a graduate of the MIT Integrated Design and Management program. She's worked at Microsoft, at Cricut, the home designer crafting machine, and at multiple startups. Jen's here today to share some innovative practices she has in terms of how to look for or how to respond to job applications or job requests. Jen, why don't you introduce the idea? Tell us a little bit about what is the idea that you have in mind?
Well, one, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. On a high level, one of the things I realize about job hunting is that unlike working, there's not a steady return on investment. You can apply to a bunch of jobs, but you don't necessarily see correlating return. So one of the things that I wanted to do is somehow make the job application process more visible, so that I have a visible, physical record of how a job is going, how a job application is going. So what I decided to do is make these little cards for every company that I applied to. And I think one of the great things about this is, I'll show you the card first. So first you have the name of the company and some sort of logo beside it, just because I enjoy drawing. So I like to, draw the logo. I rephrase what I think the company does in this one-liner here. And then the next thing I do is I read through the job description. And as I read through the job description, I start drawing the squiggly line to indicate how I'm feeling as I read this job description, as I read how the company describes itself, and also the role that it's describing that's available. And one of the interesting things that has happened as I do this is that I suddenly create a list in my head of some of the pros, like things I'm excited about around this job, and then like a list of things I'm worried about as I read this job description and things that I would want to clarify later. And one of the great things about this practice is, one, it creates a physical artifact that I can stick on my wall. And two, it actually helps the practice of drawing out my feelings actually helps me understand and have a record of how I'm feeling about the company and the opportunity. And also, as I physically draw out this like squiggly line, some of these lines don't look like this. I start to realize what is pushing the line upwards, what is pushing the line downwards, or what is causing confusion. Oh. So I think this has been a great little practice that helps me understand myself and how I'm feeling about this, create a physical record of it. And also, once I have multiple of these cards, I can compare those opportunities and how I feel about them and put in the appropriate amount of work into the application process.
Wow, how interesting. So this line that you're looking at, that you're showing here, describe what that looks like for us. It looks like it has an up and a down and then a little bit of a curl around and maybe like infinity loop, and then sort of trails a little upward. How does that represent the emotional journey that you're going through as you think about this role?
Yeah, so this is an actual role that I read about, but I just anonymized the company for the sake of this podcast. But basically, when I had started the line and I was reading the job description, well, first it's a section about the company. I was a little bit excited about, the size of the company. It seems really innovative. It's small, and that kind of like made the line kind of go upwards. And then just like in the way that the company has described itself, it seemed a little inarticulate about what it is that they were trying to do. I don't know if that's because they're trying to protect the particular piece of technology that they're pushing forward, or if they are just confused about themselves. So I think that's kind of where the confusion set in for me. And that was represented by this little like curl here. But as I read more about the job description itself, that it is like a first PM role, which is something I'd be very excited about. The line kind of goes upwards. And you can also see in terms of like the little worries section, there's a bit about, I had looked up a couple of Glassdoor, there weren't very many, but there were some Glassdoor reviews, and I was a little bit worried about, like I hadn't thoroughly gone through it, but I was a little bit worried about that. And also, it seems like the founders are kind of inexperienced. So, because the technology had come out of a university lab. So I think like some of those things were like kind of found in these squiggles. And but then when reading the job description itself, because I have experience in engineering and in design and in products management, like what they wanted was a person that's very integrated and very metrics oriented. And while I was at Microsoft, I ran an web analytics department. So I think those things allowed me that kind of drew me, the necessary for the combination of skills kind of drew me upwards towards excitement around the role. So this is like the journey of like reading and kind of understanding this company, and then reading about the role itself.
That's great. I think so many people can relate to the emotional challenge that comes with applying for jobs. It's a very vulnerable kind of experience. And what I love about this practice is that it seems like it gives a gestalt way of representing the full emotional state, the full emotional journey that you go through as you think about that job. Does it help you craft your actual response or your introductory email? What's the next step that comes from it?
Well, I think the next step that comes from this is actually to look at the worry section and to validate if these are true, and also like dig a little bit more in terms of the pros to see if these are also true. I think one of the things that I like to do in job applications is find things that are maybe not stated in the job descriptions to show that I actually put in a little bit of work to understand this company a bit more, especially when they're a smaller company and the chances of them using an AI reader or something like that is a little less because they're more intimate in terms of hiring. So the next step for me is to take like my list and try to see how I can validate them, whether that's connecting to another person who might know something about this company or connecting to the founders themselves. Or reading more third-party information sites like Glassdoor, or if there's any sort of press release or something like that about the company, I think it was a good time to push me to read about that. I think what this does is it helps me become more curious about the opportunity out there, and it physically lists the things for me so that when if I'm taking a pause from job hunting, I got this sheet done, I can come back to it and look at this list and go, hey, these are the things I'm interested in digging more into the company. And I think that will either inspire me to be more excited about the job application, or push me towards applying to some other company first. Like if I have a couple of these sheets and I see how I'm feeling about them, I can order them by which I want to apply. And the amount of effort I want to spend.
Yeah. So if any listeners are listening to this and want to try this out, what kind of tips do you have, or what suggestions do you have for how somebody should approach this?
I think that like this is a very simplistic little sheet that just literally lists the like what I think the company does. How I'm feeling, and when I'm going through how I'm feeling, just listing some of the exciting things and what I feel are worries. I think this is a good format to start, but I think if your listeners have things that they're concerned about the job, or like when they're looking for a job, they have a specific item they really care about. You know, they like culture, they want a very cohesive culture, or they want a very clearly hierarchical culture. I think that's another item that you can put on this list, and then just create like a Likert scale or something like that they would want to put on there. Just something to help like your listeners kind of, or anybody that wants to try this out, just kind of ground where this company sits in terms of other companies. So there's a quick comparison point.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing. Any other closing ideas that you want to share?
I think job hunting itself can be difficult and demoralizing. And I think like adding things that make you excited. For example, I really enjoy drawing, and I have an art practice that I continuously do. And I think practicing that practice outside of job hunting is great, but also try and find ways to incorporate the things that you enjoy into something that may be a little bit difficult. Allows the process to be a bit more overall enjoyable. So for me, that was drawing and expressing myself through art. So I think that little line thing was a little bit, and just making the card look the way that it does is the way that I bring joy to a what can be a daunting task.
Yeah. It's a very vulnerable process, and it's really, I love the way that you're approaching it, and would love to hear if anybody else has similar kinds of approaches that they've tried, or other tips they find useful for coping with the emotional challenge of the job hunt.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.